right, the chase is on Knoxville. My name is Chase Thomas, joined alongside Ethan Stone of Saturday Down South, and we're coming to you live from the beautiful Knoxville White Claw Hard Seltzer Studios here in beautiful Knoxville, Tennessee. Ethan Stone to my left from Saturday Down South. Ethan, good afternoon, my friend. How are you?
Man, I'm doing fantastic because there's football on my TV screen tonight, and that's all I can ask for.
There is football tonight here on your TV screen, on our TV screen. Hopefully, we get a lot of Hendon Hooker tonight in this football game. We shall see on that front. But yeah, the Tennessee will be showing out a little bit here on the Thursday night Hall of Fame game. It will be a lot of third and fourth string sooner rather than later in this game. But hey, football's back. Preseason NFL is here for the next month, and we're less than a month away now, with it being July 31st, until Tennessee kicks off in Atlanta against the Syracuse Orangemen. Ethan Stone, now that it's July 31st, we're less than a month out officially from Tennessee football being back.
Yeah, man, I'm excited about it, and ready to get to talk some ball today, and ready for, man. It's still a month out. It's going to be the slowest month ever, but preseason will make it easier, and fall camp will make it easier, and I'm just excited to get there, man.
Yeah, I mean, at least we have practice videos. At least we have daily fall camp updates. At least we have a lot of news and information and that. It will be hard for the next month, but we also have week 0. So we have a good matchup between Iowa State and Kansas State, but oddly enough is not a conference game. It's just being treated as a non-conference game in the standings. So, hey, it is what it is, but it's over in Ireland, and it will be a better game because we've had some kind of duds over there. Florida State, Georgia Tech last year was fun, but that game ended up meaning a whole lot less than we thought it did for Georgia Tech in that win. Notre Dame pulverized, I believe it was Navy 2 years ago.
Nebraska Northwestern.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was this will be a fun one, and this is probably the most excited I've been for an overseas opener in a while. I will say that the Western Michigan Germany game here in a couple of years doesn't really move the needle for me. I am curious if any Michigan fans make that trip. Probably 0 Western Michigan fans make that trip. Garrett Armbrust, what do you think?
Oh, I think it'll probably be. I feel like more Western Michigan fans would be inclined to do it because it's like, when are you ever going to get that opportunity again? I feel like they'll fill seats. Like, people will go. Like, there's going to be enough people that are going to be like, oh, well, I got the money. I'm going to go to Germany for the week and watch the game and make a vacation out of it. So
that's true. That is true. Well, we got a full house in here tonight. We got intern Jay King back. We got Garrett Armbrust on the 1s and 2s producing as well. We have got a jam-packed show for you guys today. We'll kick things off with Chris Brazel, not practicing as of yet with fall camp underway, what that means for the Tennessee wide receiver room. We'll talk about our player review series on the basketball front with Ethan Stone and how Igor Milicic Jr. season ultimately unfolded for the Charlotte transfer and what Ethan saw from him and what went right, what did not for the stretch for the Vols this past year. We'll also talk to Evan Russell, former Tennessee catcher, Evan Russell, on a little Tennessee baseball at the end of hour number 1. The top of hour number 2, we'll talk to Garrett, G6 Garrett, on ULM. We'll talk about University of Louisiana Monroe as we wrap up our Sunbelt preview series with, I think, only Troy left on in that regard. So we'll do that. We'll talk about the best coordinator combinations in college football right now, because I think that is one of the more under talked about. Everyone looks at the head coach, but if you recall, Chip Kelly and Jim Knowles had a big say in the Ohio State Buckeyes winning the national title this past year under Ryan Day. So we'll discuss that. We'll also talk to Graham Hall of Swamp 247 to talk about the Florida Gators, the latest on DJ Lagway, and what to expect from Florida in 2025 against Tennessee, and a whole lot more. And so we've got a jam-packed show for you guys here today on a Thursday. Thank you for making the Chase part of your day listen 1 to 3 right here on Fox Sports Knoxville and Fan Run Sports Radio, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and always streaming for free on that Fan Run Radio app. We're also live on YouTube, so you want to watch us, you can go type in Fan Run Sports. We're live on the YouTube page. Make sure you give a thumbs up and comment below and join the chat here. And you can also watch us on X and Facebook. So all kinds of different ways that you can be a part of today's show. You can also call us, text us at 865-966-3435. Again, you can join the program today at 865-966-3435. Ethan Stone, Chris Brazel, not healthy out of the gate here for Tennessee. This is one of those where he's the only upperclassman in this Tennessee wide receiver depth chart. 7 scholarship receivers. You're already super thin. Boo Carter, who was maybe going to be a two-way guy, that's not looking great at the moment. One of your 7 scholarship receivers was a summer enrollee, one of the 2 players who were summer enrollees of the 25 in this past class, him and Charles House, and Joe Kim Dodson, the 4-star out of Baylor. I just there it's getting dicey. And what I think I said on this very program here this summer, Ethan, and I want to get your perspective on this, but it's just, if you tell me that you have 2021 health at receiver between Brazel, Staley, and Mike Matthews, I think Tennessee's fine, because you got nearly 2,000 snaps from Velus Jones, Javonte Payton, and Cedric Tillman in 2021. That was okay. But if you don't get that, and Chris Brazel, your lone upperclassman, is banged up, and you're going to have to trot out a true freshman and throw them into the deep end, whether that's Travis Smith Jr. or Darius Jackson, whoever, man, it gets dicey in a hurry. And it's just the positive, I guess, and the positive spin is that Jack Van Dorselaer and Desan Brame look like year 3 guys as true freshmen, and Ethan Davis certainly looks the part. Miles Kitselman, one of the leaders. You're so loaded at tight end right now that, hey, if we have to go a whole lot more 12 personnel and the receivers just aren't healthy enough for us to really be able to do what we want to do through the air and on deep passing situations and chunk plays, this, that, and the other, hey, we got a really strong offensive line, we got a strong running game, and we got maybe the best tight end groom we've had in the Heupel era, right?
Yeah, the more the offseason goes along, the more I agree with you that Tennessee's probably going to be a heavy 12 personnel at times, because, you know, I'm not necessarily certain I'm ready to say that Brazel is going to be out long term or anything like that. To be truthful with you, I don't really know exactly what's going on with him, but now he's missed the first, I believe, 2 days of practice because friend of the program, Ryan Shumpert, reported this morning that he was kind of off to the side in the parts that media was able to go to. And I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head earlier, Chase. Like, that's for obvious reasons. It's not good that right now at practice, your wide receiver 1 is a guy who caught for, I believe, 90 receiving yards last season in Mike Matthews. I don't think there's a Tennessee wide receiver on the field last year that caught over 100 yards. And that is obviously not the best of circumstances for Tennessee football. And like you say, there's just inexperience everywhere in that room. And, you know, there's some inexperience in the tight end room as well. But like you say, I feel like there's a little more confidence around that right now than what there is for the wide receivers with, obviously, you know, Travis Smith has looked like he's had a good start. Darius Jackson's a guy that I'm high on, but Amari Jefferson, another guy that could potentially be a guy that could make plays for Tennessee this season. But like you said, Chase, none of them have hit the field yet. And Mike Matthews, high potential, hasn't hit the field really. He has 90 yards receiving last year, I believe 7 receptions. So a lot of uncertainty. And you know, as I just said to start this, I'm not necessarily hitting the panic button with Brazel. I'm sure he'll be fine by the start of the season, but it's not ideal. The first bits of fall camp for him to be sitting to the side. It can't make any Tennessee fan feel particularly good about what already they could not have felt very good about in a shaky wide receiver core. No,
it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens here, because they just don't have a lot of margin for error. I think 2 things can be true. You're optimistic about the blue chip talent you have in that room. They're just super young and inexperienced. It doesn't mean that they're not talented guys. It's just, this was my biggest fear of going so in on your retention and playing these young guys. Like, Mike Matthews needed to play. Braylon Staley needed to play. However, you messed up. Like, the Amari Jefferson part of this is the one that annoys me the most, is that you used your transfer portal edition this winter on a player who did not play football last year at Alabama. Like, you needed, that is a move you make when you're already pretty solid in depth wise. Like, you're solid in numbers, you're solid in where you're at, where it's like, hey, Amari is not going to be in a situation where he's rushed to the field or we're going to really need him. You're an injury away potentially from really needing Amari Jefferson in the slot this year. And that's just a lot to put on him, who didn't do really a whole lot in spring either. Like, it's just, he's a huge unknown. 4-star, super talented kid, played baseball and football at Baylor, talented guy. But I think it's asking a lot to expect him to be a regular part of the rotation in 2025. You had to use that spot, I think, if you're only going to take one, on somebody else. We've banged this drum all summer, but Dane Key, Nick Anderson, Barryon Brown, Isaiah Horton, you name it. There were a lot of talented guys in the portal that Tennessee should have prioritized one. We're not saying you had to break the bank for multiple guys, because you do have talented guys in the room that need to play. But this was always the fear, is Chris Brazzell did not show you enough last year to be like, all right, we're set with 50-plus snaps a game from Chris Brazzell for a full season. And this is our lone upperclassman. You knew Brew was gone after this past year. You knew Dante was going to be gone. Squirrel, even if Squirrel surprised you, that's still multiple vets you knew were going to be out the door. And to me, Chris Brazzell has to be healthy. I mean, he's your lone upperclassman here. Like, he's got to help take some of the pressure off these guys. And I mean, year 2 in the system, we've seen those kind of jumps. Dante Thornton was a whole lot more comfortable in this scheme in year 2 than year 1. You hope that's the case with Brazzell, but man, he's got to be ready. I mean, part of it is like you want to be protective of him, and maybe they're just being overly cautious, because he's one of those guys that might need to be in bubble wrap for Tennessee this year. But man, he's got to be on the field. That's just not going to be fair. Like, you're going to throw 2 redshirt freshmen out there along with a true freshman if Chris Brazzell is not ready to go. That's crazy. That cannot be the spot you're in year 5.
Rotating.
Yeah.
Like, I know they're talking about wanting to bring back the offense from like a couple of years ago a little bit. Like, if you're rotating, like, do you have Radarius Jackson and Travis Smith getting snaps in a game? Like, I mean, obviously you don't expect Joaquin Dodson to get any, so it's like those 2 are going to go out there and play, and then it's like, I don't know. Like you said, you should have gone out and got someone. I thought they were going to go get Keelan Marion from BYU. He was more of like a special teams target, punt returner, kick returner. But like, I mean, he was an explosive guy where if you would have put him in the wide receiver room, like, it would have been better than nothing.
But that was a spring portal thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's the whole problem with all this. Is like, they didn't take anybody in the spring portal window, but it was like, this was not a spring problem to address.
Well,
this was a winter problem.
And got a wide receiver 1 from a G5 school, or you could have gone and got Coleman from Mississippi State. Like,
that would have been good.
Someone that you could have got. I mean, you saw teams like Missouri, Arkansas, like, they got good skill position players out of the transfer portal. Granted, they were from the G5 level, but like, I mean, if you go out and get a 900-yard receiver that played in the American Conference, I feel like that's better than taking a red shirt, from an SEC school that's never played a snap.
Yeah. I mean, it's
makes you wonder if they threw their hat in the ring too heavily for Branch, who ended up at Georgia, because there was obviously there was a little bit of rumblings that Tennessee was in the boat for him. And another thing for this receiver, this entire thing, we're looking at this from terms of production. From production for the wide receivers. What about from the quarterback? A new guy coming in, learning the system, already has a lot against him, already is needing kind of that safety blanket, and his top receiver is sitting out the first day of practice, and everybody else hasn't really taken the snaps. I like everything we just say, but apply it to Joey, apply it to Jake Merklinger, apply it to whoever you want to, who's going to be starting at the quarterback position. You're just making life harder for him, because there's got to be someone to get open that he can throw the ball to, folks.
I don't know where they're going on this front, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it ultimately goes. But when we come back, we'll continue our Tennessee conversation. We'll talk about Igor Milicic Jr. and what he did for Tennessee ultimately after his 1 season here with the Tennessee Vols. So we'll get Ethan Stone's expert analysis on what he saw from Igor last year in his lone season with the Vols as we continue on here on a Thursday. It's the Chase. Stick with us. Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and always streaming for free on that Fan Run Radio app.
Fan Run Radio with you on the all-new Fan Run app. Just search for Fan Run Radio wherever you download your apps. Rickard Ridge Barbecue, located in beautiful Cove Lake State Park. Rickard Ridge is home of the best ribs in the Volunteer State. Smoked daily by Pitmaster Mark Rickard. The barbecue at Rickard Ridge is mouth-watering, fall-off-the-bone delicious. Take the scenic drive up I-75 to exit 134. For directions and to look at the rest of the menu, visit Rickard Ridge online at rickardridgebbq.com.
Believe in family. Believe in your fellow man. Believe in honesty and an honest day's work. We do. We're Farm Bureau Insurance. And we don't just believe in Tennessee. We believe in Tennesseans. Farm Bureau Insurance. Tennessee's insurance company.
This is Baseball VFL Cody Brown. Farm Bureau Insurance is the official insurance for Tennesseans. Believe in me for all of your insurance needs. Give me a call at 865-992-3871.
Only 3 homestands remaining to see your Knoxville Smokies play this season. And next week is full of celebrations, starting with free hot dog night on Tuesday. All the hot dogs you can eat all night long. And if you're still hungry, we've got all you can eat Wednesday, Thirsty Thursday with half-off draft beers. Then on Friday, we honor one of the founding members of the Negro Southern League, the Knoxville Giants. On Saturday, we're continuing the fight against breast cancer by painting the park pink. And on Sunday is Cocoa Melon Day. Grab your tickets now at smokiesbaseball.com.
And here we go. It's William Pattison, and this is your daily invite to Overtime on Fan Run Radio. Weeknights from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern, I'm breaking down everything you care about, from the latest Tennessee Volunteers news to bold takes on college football, the NFL, and NBA. If it's happening in the world of sports, I've got an angle on it. You bring the passion, and I'll deliver the truth, the fire, and the facts. It's Overtime with William Pattison, weeknights at 7, only on Fan Run Radio.
Citizens National Bank.
We make it easy to save money. Get access to thousands of discounts on shopping, dining, and travel with the CFB Plus Perks account. It's a powerful new way to save money with roadside assistance, cell phone protection, identity theft protection, and credit monitoring. Banking at CFB has its perks. Call or stop by a branch for more details.
Citizens National Bank. Banking never felt so good.
Member FDIC.
Ready to launch your career? Axle Logistics is a leading third-party logistics company where excellence is an energy. With an award-winning culture, Axle proves that positive outcomes come from a positive environment and a work hard, play hard mentality. At Axle, the drive for success is infectious. And with an uncapped commission structure, hard work isn't just noticed, it's rewarded. For those with big goals and even bigger dreams, Axle Logistics is the place to start your career.
It's a chase right here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and always streaming for free on that Fan Run Radio app. We got Rusty on the line right now. Thank you for holding for a little bit, Rusty. What do you got for us today?
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wanted to get into the wide receiver talk a little bit. I kind of feel like Brazil missing a first couple, or not being out there, whatever. I'm guessing he's been inside doing work or whatever. Do we think that's anything at all? And do we think if we had like nine upperclassmen receivers all vying for positions right now, the coaches would be having him sit out? I wonder if you're not going to see a lot of practice over the fall camp where Staley gets a day off, Mike gets a day off. And you know what I mean? Because of the limited numbers, I wonder if they don't get maintenance days.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where Ethan and I have talked about it too, of just they have to be so careful here because Tennessee is fine at receiver, I think, in 25 if Brazel.
If there's health.
Yeah, if there's health. Like 2021, you had great health with Tillman, with Velas, and with Javonte. Like they accumulated about 2,000 snaps between the three of them. But since then, you haven't been able to avoid that. Last year, Squirrel, as you know, not healthy throughout the year, and that was a constant struggle. Brew goes down early against South Carolina in 23, and then Cedric Tillman injures his ankle against Akron early on in 22 and has to get tightrope surgery. So for the last 3 years, you've at least lost one guy, and I don't think it's realistic to expect full health and 2,000 snaps from these three guys, and that's just why one of the things is like Tennessee, in a lot of ways, has had a great offseason. I think they're a whole lot deeper in a lot of areas, but they're just super thin at receiver and using their winter transfer portal edition on a player who did not play last year and is another redshirt freshman, Amari Jefferson, was not a move you could make with where you were at in your numbers count at receiver. You knew Brew was going to be gone. You knew Dante was going to be gone. And there was a lot of talent out there. Garrett made a good point of like, whether it was Kevin Coleman, Isaiah Horton, who played at Oakland here locally, and now he's at Alabama. you had a lot of options. Like there was Zachariah Branch, there was Noah Thomas, there was a lot of different dudes out there, and you just needed one. Dane Key, whoever it was, you just needed one to have some reassurance if something like Chris Brazel has an injury that lingers or something, or Mike Matthews. Braylon Staley is probably the one that's most important of the three, because you're so thin, Rusty, at slot this year. Like Boo Carter is just like, if you were expecting him to be a consistent slot guy, I don't think that's something you should have in the cards right now. Joakim Dodson's one of your 2 spring enrollees as a true freshman, and he's a slot guy. And then it just gets dicey. And Amari Jefferson, we talked about, is your other slot guy. So I don't know what they do if Braylon Staley is not wrapped in bubble wrap here over the next month.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I also don't worry about freshmen playing wide receiver. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with true freshman guys getting on the field. I think Staley and Matthews didn't get to play enough last year. When Squirrel was hurt, Staley should have been the guy in slot. I know Squirrel had been in the program and all that stuff, but I thought that was the biggest mistake last year, was not having those 2 guys playing a ton of football as true freshmen.
I mean, I agree with you, Rusty, in certain aspects, because a skill position player, especially out of high school, is kind of like you get the ball in their hands and they make a play or they don't. I mean, you saw a lot of freshmen
playing in space.
Yeah, exactly. And you saw a lot of true freshmen last year. I mean, whether that was Ryan Williams or Jeremiah Smith, not saying any wide receivers that we have the talent that they do, but still, I mean, you want to trust your freshmen, because especially in a transfer portal era like we have now, if you're a freshman and you don't play at all your freshman year, I mean, it's almost like you're kind of just letting them, leave the door kind of halfway open, because some players at this point in their, in college sports, if they don't play immediately, they're out. And I'm not saying that that's anything that's happening at Tennessee or that's the culture or anything, but it just seems like, they should get the ball a little bit more to freshmen, because, as I said, a skill position player is different than sticking an O-line player or a D-line player that's a freshman in the trenches immediately. Like, you can make skill position plays, I feel like, as an 18, 19-year-old kid.
Yeah, not to mention at the same time, Rusty, to your point, it's not like Tennessee's wide receivers were light the field on fire, right? I mean, it's part of the reason why we're talking about what we're talking about right now. And obviously the passing attack had its share of problems on both sides with Nico and with the receivers. But like you say, it'd be perfect to get some of those guys just some reps if no one else is getting open and catching the ball anyway.
Well, I mean, Staley could have ran wide open just like Squirrel did, straight down the field a bunch of times, and Nico missed him too. We could have done that.
Yeah, and I think
and Staley could have raised his arms to try to catch it, but it still would have been overthrown. But nevertheless,
yeah, I think it was one of those, and that's one of the points about what's interesting to me is when fans, like, you talk about the home game and the playoff game this past year. It's like, if you did the reseeding that you're doing this year, Tennessee gets a home game, it feels different. You don't have to go to Columbus right away. But remember how banged up they were down the stretch, Rusty. Is like Dylan Sampson was limping into that game. He gets injured at the end of the Vanderbilt game. Braylon Staley had to play 50 snaps in Columbus, and he was a red shirt all year long, and he's thrust in there because of Squirrel White's availability. Dante Thornton was great when he was available. He led the country in yards per reception at 25, but when he was not someone who could play 40-plus snaps a game. And then the Brew, I love Brew, but he was just not the same post-injury, and that's the one to me where Mike should have gotten a lot more of those Brew snaps, because Brew was just not that explosive player that you needed out wide. That was the one to me where I'm like, I just don't understand how you can say that Mike didn't deserve some of those Brew snaps.
No, they were loyal to 2 guys who were totally banged up last year because they were veterans in the receiving corps. That's it. And I mean, your first 3 receivers should have probably all year long been Thornton, Brazel, and Staley should have been your guys, and then Mike rotating with Brazel and Thornton. If you're just playing the best guys health-wise and overall talent in the moment, that would have been the guys they played last year if they didn't. But you're right about the end of the year. If you just field 2 punts and don't rough a punter in Arkansas, you're hosting SMU instead of going to Ohio State. Limping in or not, I feel better about playing that game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know. I think one of the silver linings here, Rusty, is tight end is just so strong right now. And I'm pretty bullish on where Ethan Davis is going into a big year for him. Miles Kitzman, I think, is going to be one of your best tight ends in the conference. And Jack Van Dorselaer and Deshaun Brand, I don't know if you've seen how they look here in fall camp this week, but putting on a lot of weight, a lot of muscle, they look like, I was telling a buddy this morning, those are guys you've seen at Georgia for the last couple of years. Those are the Georgia blue chip tight ends that Tennessee has had to deal with over the years. Yep. I'm not saying he's going to be they're going to be Brock Bowers down in Washington, but it's those kind of guys where you see them in this room and you're like, those guys are just different. And I think Tennessee is going to be able to go 12 personnel a whole heck of a lot this year. And if the receivers aren't healthy, they're going to go 2 wide receiver sets. And I think they're going to go utilize that tight end game.
Let's go 14 personnel.
Okay.
Let's load up.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I don't feel much worse about the receiving core than I did when it was Javonte Payton, Bayless Jones, and an unknown Cedric Tillman who had like 1 touchdown catch.
Yeah,
and like 7 total catches going into that first year. So I'm not that afraid. The craziest part about that year was Jalen Hyatt was supposed to be the guy, and he ends up getting relegated to the bench, then wins the Biletnikoff the next year. So
yep.
It's a weird thing. Anyway, thanks for taking so much, or thanks for letting me have so much time, and you guys have a blessed day.
Rusty, we appreciate the call. Call us back whenever. We appreciate it.
You got it, man.
We continue on here, but yeah, I think the Tennessee part of it here is interesting in the receiver front, but I think that's going to be a storyline to follow over the next month because they got to be careful with those guys. They got to be careful with Braylon. They got to be careful with Brazel, and they got to be careful with Mike because they need a whole heck of a lot of snaps from those 3 this year, but they also need practice and they need reps because guess what? You have a new quarterback and they have to establish chemistry, whether that's with Merklinger, whether it's with George, or whether that was Joey Aguilar. Like, you can't keep him in that much bubble wrap because you have your 4th new quarterback in 4 years. So they need to build chemistry over the next month, Ethan.
Yeah, someone's got to put the production on the field. Someone's got to have the 500, 800-yard season if Tennessee's passing attack is going to be where it needs to be. And like, who's that going to be? Who could that be if not Brazel, if not Mike Matthews? Who's going to take that step? That's the major question. You're right.
We could just surprise everyone and run the option against Georgia.
There we go.
It worked for Tech. Just putting your head down, Haynes King it up. Yeah, just power.
Bring in the wishbone.
You know what, though? I will say.
Just turn into an Iowa offense. Let's just only run the ball.
I mean, they got dudes. Tennessee's running back depth pretty strong. Yeah. You're watching it this morning. I will say the other thing, too. A lot of people are bullish on Deshaun Bishop, and I know I'm not going to get a fair answer here from Carnes alum Ethan Stone to my left in the Deshaun Bishop discussion. Peyton Lewis in those drills this morning, he's twitchy. He's different. Like, he has a burst that nobody else in that running back room has.
What do we think the ball distribution is? Like 100% between Bishop, Star Thomas. You know, what are we seeing of those 3 guys? Like, are we going 50, 25, 25? Or, like, how would you distribute it out, do you think?
I think it's going to be
Peyton Lewis, Deshaun Bishop, and Star Thomas.
I think 75% Peyton Lewis, 25% Bishop, and then if barring injury, I think that's just your 2-man rotation.
Really? You don't think Thomas comes in at all?
No, I think what we saw last year with Darrell only going Sampson like 85% and then Bishop like 15. I think people are expecting us to go back to the Jerry Mack role of 3 backs and just a whole heck of a lot of rotation every drive. I don't think that's Darrell's
I don't think
deal.
it's going to be 33, 33, 33. But I mean, you look at Star Thomas. I mean, he had pretty good production at Duke last year. I mean, he put up like 5 yards per carry. I mean,
something important about Thomas too is he's good as a receiver. He was good out of the backfield, kind of splitting out wide a little bit. And I believe he had 5
Can he play slot? Let's move Star Thomas to the slot.
Let's see what happens. Let's put Star Thomas in the slot. I agree with you. But I believe gracious. He had 5 touchdown receptions last year. And obviously Duke used him in that way, and it'd be interesting to see how Tennessee does. But that's definitely something to think about that not a lot of people have been talking about.
Yeah, I don't know. That's my guess, but I do think I'm a big Peyton Lewis guy.
Oh, I am too.
And he looks different.
He's fun to watch. I think he's
speedy, man.
He was one of those people, too, that was interesting where it was like when we had this whole Boo situation where they were talking about like special teams. Like, I think he would have been the guy that would have been returning a lot of those punts and kicks probably if Boo wasn't playing. Obviously now, you know.
Yeah, he'd be up there. I mean, because punt returns and kick returns are very different. Kick returns, you want a straight line speed guy.
Yeah.
You want just straight up, that's a little bit different. Punt returns, you want someone who's twitchy. That's what made Squirrel a terrible punt return.
Right.
And Dramad
made D. Williams a really good punt
Yes,
returner.
you have to be able to make that first guy miss. It's more shiftiness. It's just elusivity. It's just a little bit different. Boo Carter has that. Like, Boo Carter is a natural playmaker who can make the first guy miss. The only other guy outside of Pilu and Mike, I guess I'd probably throw in that too. I think Mike is a natural twitchy guy. there's not anybody else that I'm really throwing back there, and I feel good is going to make the first guy miss and be a real danger back there.
I mean, you're right. I mean, a kick return, you're kind of just trying to get it up to a little bit past where, going through the end zone would have been 25-yard line. A punt, you're really trying to make a play and try and make an explosive play happen. Kick return, you're just trying to get up to the 25-yard line and match a touchback. But yeah.
Igor Milicic, Ethan Stone, you as our Tennessee Vols basketball insider, college basketball insider, Ethan Stone, what did you see from Igor this past year? He was it's not controversial, but I guess kind of he was a lot of fans had high expectations, and I think there was unfair expectations for him thrown in before the year of like, is he the Dalton Connect replacement? Is he going to be this point forward who can do it all for Tennessee, shoot threes, be the high usage guy that you had with Dalton a year ago? I don't think he was set up from a great position standpoint to follow up Dalton Connect anyway. But what did you actually see? What was real in terms of Igor's positive play last year? Where did he struggle? What do you make of his ultimate season on Rocky Top?
Yeah, but before that season started, he was one of my favorite transfers that Tennessee got, just because I saw a lot of three-way scoring ability with Igor, and he showed that off for sure. One thing I believe he improved on as the season went along, which kind of alluding to what I just said, is the three-point shot. He got way, way, way better in conference play. I believe he shot at 39% conference play, but for the season, he was 31%. He really, really, really struggled to start. I think he had one game, can't remember, maybe against Virginia where he shot it really well. Don't quote me on that. I can't remember exactly, but he definitely, as the season went along and as Tennessee started playing tougher competition, kind of seemed to rise to that challenge. Now, in the opposite respect, I think at the start, Rick Barnes mentioned this, and I think fans kind of noticed it as well. I definitely noticed it, is he was an elite rebounder to start. And as the season went on, in the first couple games, SEC play, he was too. I believe against Arkansas, he had 18 rebounds. Florida, I believe you rebounded the ball pretty well as well. And then as SEC play went on, as we got into late January, into February, into March, he kind of, I wouldn't say lost all ability, but he definitely took a step back as the season went along, and that became a bit of a problem. Is you got to be able to rebound the ball a little better. Now, Tennessee was using him in slightly different ways, right? As the 3-point percentage goes up, naturally, probably going to be a little worse on the offensive boards. Obviously, I think some other Tennessee players kind of took a step in that direction. I don't believe rebounding was ever a major issue, but you do kind of expect 6'10" for Igor to have been a little more of a presence inside. And I think that's where some fans and maybe myself put a little unfair expectations on him there. But overall, the word I'd use to describe Igor's season is probably inconsistent. Like he was some games he was Tennessee's best player. The game against Missouri, probably his best game of the season. He had 21 points, incredibly efficient. Probably won Tennessee the game against a pretty good Missouri team, I believe. The time they were top 25 Ken Palm, pretty much every team in the SEC was. But yeah, Igor had I would ultimately grade it a solid B minus. Like it was a good season. I don't think he was a net negative for the team. I think he helps the team on their Elite Eight run for sure. But I do believe what you said at the beginning is pretty fair. I think there were some higher inflated expectations, definitely from my end, definitely from some fans that expected him to be a little more than he was, and he ended up playing his role really well, I believe, and I think Tennessee fans will look fondly on his time, his 1 year on Rocky Top.
Good rebounder. I think the thing with him that I felt bad is like it just felt like a confidence thing, because I think in our group chat we just talked about it where it's like Igor I think forgets that he's a good shooter. And it's just like, we need you to take those shots. When they were struggling in the half court, it was like Igor, without looking at the numbers, he shot 100% from three on open threes right at the top of the key. Like that was his game. Like he was so good in the pick and pop. And when he got a good look there, it always felt like it was going in. He just felt like he would just go away and he'd float. And it was just, he would lose confidence in his shot. And it's like, Igor, you're one of the best shooters on the team outside of Chaz. Like I feel better about you putting up threes than anybody else. And I think he was physical. He handled his business inside. And I don't know, he's kind of one where if he had 2 years here, I think he would have probably made the leap. He would have found more comfortability under Rick Barnes. And then this upcoming year too, like if you had, instead of Jalen Carey there and Igor had 1 more year of eligibility and you were able to stagger him with Felix, with JP, and with Cade, I could really see a great year 2 for Igor at Tennessee. He's kind of one where I think like, would you would have rather had Igor for one more year than Jalen Carey, right?
Yes, I would. And it's what you say, because he has that potential to be a very, very good shooter. And exactly like you said, I do believe it was a confidence thing, because in the NCAA tournament, he went 1 for 8 from 3. And before that, he was shooting really, really well. I mean, in the bulk of SEC play, I kind of misrepresented him here, looking at the numbers a little more. He was really good in SEC play from 3. And I obviously said they used 39%. But once it kind of stepped up and Tennessee needed him to continue doing that, it's almost as if the other team just scouted him really well, because he just, I mean, there were a couple games, and not only that, he didn't shoot it is another thing, and that kind of speaks to the confidence you're talking about. Against Wofford, he was 1 for 4, UCLA 0 for 1, 0 for 2 against Kentucky, and then 0 for 1 against Houston. And obviously everyone was struggling against Houston, but that's something that Tennessee could have used in that game. Tennessee could have used someone other than Chaz, other than Zakai, taking the 3-point shots and consistently hitting them. And for a time during like February, he was doing that, and he was that player. And that's, I feel like when Igor was hitting those threes, and when he was confident in how he was shooting, not just from 3, but inside and you know, kind of the dribble drive thing that he had going for a little bit as well. Once that went away, it felt like Tennessee lost a little tiny touch of a step, and that's enough, man, in NCAA tournament play.
When we come back, we'll be joined by VFL Evan Russell to talk about Tennessee baseball this offseason. Big catcher battle with Tennessee, got a lot of options there. So we'll check in with Evan to talk all things Tennessee baseball offseason. So stick with us. It's The Chase right here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and always streaming for free on that Fan Run Radio app.
Yeah, it's another day, but what kind of day is it really? A day of doom scrolling? Laundry day? Nah, it's a White Claw day. Light and refreshing tasting, uniquely cold way filtered. There's an iconic flavor for everyone. So grab a pack, grab your friends. Make the most of each day with those who matter most. When you're together with White Claw, every day is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. You just gotta grab it. White Claw. Grab life by the claw. Please drink responsibly. Hard seltzer with flavors. White Claw Seltzer Works, Chicago, Illinois.
Okay, so we really need uniforms and equipment for this season. Can I trust you with that? Cool, I'll just order them online. What? Yeah, I'm going to hop online and I'm going to get them ordered. Hold up. That's not a good idea. We shouldn't just spend money on some random online retailer, okay? I mean, it seems pretty convenient. Trust me, it's a terrible idea. Let me simplify this for you. SM Athletics. Okay, how do you pronounce it? SM Athletics? They're the go-to for uniforms and equipment, whether it's for universities, high schools, youth leagues, you name it. So why wouldn't you rather go with professionals who can guide us through the process, design the perfect uniforms, and deliver the best equipment? Yeah, I guess that makes sense. What's the name again? SM Athletics. Right. It's definitely smarter to go with a company that emphasizes customer service, fair pricing, and, of course, excellent products. Exactly. So, yeah, I guess it's settled then. For uniforms and equipment for all sports, it's SM Athletics.
Knoxville, mark your calendars. Fan Run Night at the ballpark is back. Join us Wednesday, August 6th at Covenant Health Park as the Knoxville Smokies take on Biloxi and we take over the stands. It's all you can eat night, so make sure to bring your appetite. Plus, we're hooking up the fans with exclusive Fan Run swag giveaways you won't want to miss. Come hang with the Fan Run crew, rep your team, and enjoy a summer night of baseball, food, and fun. Fan Run Night, August 6th. Be there.
I was afraid to cut the cord, but once I did, I couldn't believe it took so long to do it. Paying too much for my cable bill had become a bad habit. I either wasn't getting what I wanted or never knew where to find any of my favorite shows until it was too late. Plus, the prices just kept going up. Thankfully, I discovered a new way to watch, called Philo. For just $25 a month, I can catch all my favorite shows on networks like BET, MTV, and TLC. It even has Nickelodeon for my kids. I can watch anytime I want, anywhere I want. Plus, Philo lets me have up to 3 streams at once, so everyone can watch what they want at the same time. Throw in the unlimited DVR that saves all my favorites for up to a year, and this really is the best deal in TV. I just wish I hadn't waited so long. Sound too good to be true? Well, try it out for yourself, and you'll see why people who love TV love Philo. Go to philo.tv, that's philo.tv, and start your 7-day free trial now.
A brand built in Tennessee and born from the love of the game, Inward Half revolutionizes golfing comfort. Crafted by a former pro and dedicated enthusiast just like you, our luxury performance wear guarantees you stay cool and comfortable through every swing and every day. We're not just a brand. We've set out to create a lifestyle for those who understand that impeccable style and premium performance are a hole-in-one. Enjoy the walk-in with Inward Half.
Chase right here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and always streaming for free on that Fan Run Radio app. We now have on the line VFL, one of my favorite hitters when I first got to UT here, and one of the guys that I am really excited to pick his brain on where Tennessee is at here on the baseball circuit going into 2026. It's Evan Russell. Evan, good afternoon, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Appreciate you having me on.
Thank you for being here. So we might have a little bit of a competition at catcher going into 2026, right?
I believe so. And you know, competition at this level is a good thing. Any time that you got some people that are satisfied or they feel like there's not much of a threat, that could lead to a little bit of just relaxation. And it's not something we need for 2026, I believe.
Yeah, and I mean, if you had to give any advice to a guy as a multi-year program catcher, Evan, what advice would you give to Stone Lawless as he's waited his turn and really grown and developed under Tony Vitello and company? What would be that piece of advice you give him right now?
Yeah, so I saw Stone and Levi Clark today at the facility, and they were getting their work in. And, you know, the advice that I would give them, because it's definitely not going to be an advice of like, hey, work hard. Because most guys at that level, they're already doing that, right? So if you're going to be a premier catcher, that's step one. My advice to them and to anybody that's wanting to be a good catcher, it's going to be first and foremost, develop relationships with the pitchers and take care of them. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to win the conference or win big time games, you got to have guys on the mound that are comfortable. So, you know, finding ways on how to communicate with those guys, take care of them, where do they like certain pitches, you know, get to know those guys. And I think if you take that approach, then success will also come your way.
Is Stone one of those guys? Because we had Tony Vitello on last week, and one of the things you hear is that Stone is just he's a great clubhouse guy, and somewhat he's great to have on the road. He's just a natural leader. Do you get that from him when you meet him and talk to him, that there's just something about him that is a natural leader, kind of in that Cal Stark mode as well?
Yeah, I think it's a very humble mentality, and as we all know, if you take a humble approach to anything, then you're probably going to be well liked, right? So he's more of your humble guy. He comes to the field, he does things the right way. You're never going to hear any news about Stone Lawless, which is also a big benefit in today's world. So he's just kind of that consistent guy based on everything that I hear about him and my personal experience with him. And that's the most important position to be consistent. I would say it's going to be.
Hey, Evan, thanks for coming on. You know, I know when you were kind of ending your high school career, you know, it was kind of the end of the Serrano era, and Tony V was kind of coming in right before you got to campus and everything. You know, you were part of those first kind of teams with Tony, and then into, you know, the early 2020s of, you know, when the dominance of the teams really started in late, you know, 2010s, 2019, 2020, when 2020 was going to be a great team if it wasn't for COVID. What did you see from Tony just early in his career where you saw immediately that he bought into a vision, y'all bought into a vision, and you knew that this was going to be a special program going forward?
Yeah, if anybody, you know, looks back to before Tony, Dave Serrano, Dave Serrano was a good coach. He knew his stuff. I just don't know if it was just the right fit for him. But whenever Tony comes in, basically Tony built a coaching staff around him as well, where everyone had one full motive, and that was to make Tennessee a premier spot in college baseball. And, you know, that just trickled down from the top when it came to the freshman class, the sophomore class, they were constantly being fed the mentality of wanting to be a top program in the country, and everything with the facilities and the success on the field. That was just a result of every day coming in and basically creating the mentality that the culture was not a culture of thinking that every game was going to be won. There was sort of a fear around certain programs coming to the stadium, and that quickly changed whenever Vitello and his staff came in. And I think everyone can see that there is no fear, and there never was from that coaching staff, and the players quickly adapted to that.
Evan, when you think about just the offensive firepower that Tennessee has been able to sustain, even with all the different players just going straight to the league and having this roster turnover next year, there's going to be a whole heck of a lot of roster turnover. What would you contribute the most to Tennessee being able to consistently have the kind of power and production year over year in the SEC and beyond?
Yeah, it's just recruiting at this point. So Josh Elander, I was actually talking to some of the coaches today. Josh Elander, Ricky Martinez, Ross Kivett is a huge addition to have back to the coaching staff. Tony Vitello, obviously, the whole staff is constantly recruiting, and they're looking for your next Jordan Becks, Christian Moores, Billy Amix. They're trying to find those guys, and they're trying to get them on campus and get them to come be a part of something that's building. So I think the number one thing is recruiting, and then if you add that to strength coach, as in Coach Q, if anybody's ever had the pleasure of meeting him, then you would know that formula is going to equal success every time.
Hey, Evan, this is Jay speaking. How has this kind of recruiting rivalry with like Arkansas and LSU led to Tennessee becoming this good at recruiting?
Yeah, so it's a huge rivalry when it comes to the schools like Arkansas, mainly LSU, Mississippi State, and at the end, the main thing there is facilities-wise. All the coaches at that level, they're going to know how to develop. They're going to create professionals. They're going to create big leaguers. But the facilities was the biggest thing that Tennessee needed to catch up to everyone else. If you go to let's keep it at Arkansas. If you go to an Arkansas and you look at the facilities specifically just for baseball, Tennessee was a decade behind of new development. Now, if you go to Tennessee now and you look at what they're doing renovations wise, and that's due to a bunch of donors and David and Danny White doing his thing. Tennessee's now back to the party, and they're probably at the leading end of it. So the renovations, the facilities were a big thing. And then, just putting a good product and focusing on development was also a big deal that the coaching staff wanted to keep as a high priority. And now you're seeing a ton of success, and it's almost like a rolling train at this point going down the track. It's going to be hard to stop.
Who is the freshman that you saw the most last year that you're most excited about in year two for Tennessee?
Obviously Levi Clark, Manny had a great freshman year. I'm really excited for a breakout year from Jay Abernathy. I think that athleticism, he's at the top in that locker room. I think that now you've got some space for the outfield to open up to give him enough time to get comfortable. And if you got a guy, if we go back to one of the best Vanderbilt teams to ever play, they had a leadoff hitter that was really hard to get out because of how athletic he was. And I'm talking about Enrique Bradfield, if anybody remembers that name. He kind of started everything when it comes to starting rallies. Anytime he was coming up to the plate, he was always causing some chaos. And I think Jay Abernathy had the ability to do stuff like that. And I think Jay might have a better arm out in the outfield too, which could increase his defensive ability there. So, I'm really excited to watch him get comfortable and see what he can do.
We'll get you out on this, Evan. When I'm always curious with the new uniforms, the old uniforms. Could you power rank which uniforms you like the most to least? Now that you can answer this, you're no longer a Tennessee baseball player. What is your honest 1 through, I guess, like 6 uniform power rankings here?
I'm a little different with my thought.
Okay.
I always loved the orange balls top over the white pants.
Okay.
I always love that. I love the creams too. The Sunday creams, I think those are great. But here's the thing: no one that wears the Sunday creams likes how they feel.
Interesting.
That was an ongoing thing. It's like it was a little thicker material. If it was a hot day, it was heavier. So it just, we always liked the look of Sunday creams, but playing it wasn't as comfortable. So I would say that the creams were good, but my top were usually the orange tops or the white uniforms, and then the black. Obviously, those 3, in my opinion, were the best. But probably the orange balls was my favorite, which we don't wear much. So it's kind of disheartening.
Are you a fan of the smoky grays?
The smoky grays, it's I'm not a too harsh on them.
Okay.
But it wasn't one of my favorites.
What do you think is the most popular among the players? Who would you guess if you had to do a poll for the last 4 to 5 years of guys? What do you think would be the most popular uniform set if they could pick?
Most popular uniform set, probably the white.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Which version of the whites? Are you talking about the ones they didn't use this year, or which whites?
So I think they did like the new ones this year. Were, I would say they were probably the favorite too. But whenever I was there for my 5 years, it was always the Tennessee across the chest.
Yes.
That was the favorite.
Interesting. Okay. I like it. Evan Russell, thank you so much for making the time today. We wish you nothing but the best. It's always great to check in on a great VFL, and I appreciate you making the time here today, and we'll have to get you back on the program soon.
Yeah, that'd be great. Appreciate y'all having me.
Evan Russell, VFL, great catcher, great hitter at Tennessee for so many years here on Rocky Top. So appreciate Evan jumping on the program here. It's interesting. I wasn't going to expect that the players would pick the old Tennessee script white jerseys as the most popular over the years. It's an interesting call.
Yeah, I wonder how they feel about the black ones too. I mean, obviously we've seen so much success in those. Obviously, those things are sweet, but I just wonder how hot they get, like in the summer. Like you're playing outfield in Omaha, it's 110 degrees with the real feel, and you get the black jerseys on. It's got to be a little uncomfortable.
Now we know why we don't see the cream in Omaha. It's just a little too hot, and we're in June at that point. But they look the best. Like that's got to be conflicting. The creams are the best looking uniforms, but they're the worst for the players.
That is my favorite one. By far. The new creams, like with the Tennessee black Tennessee, just it's not the same.
No.
So I think the blacks are my favorite, and then the creams. I really like the blacks.
Interesting.
I don't know why.
I agree with Garrett.
I just really like the black ones.
I like the black.
I mean, I know it's not like a Tennessee color really, but it's like anything blackout is sweet.
Yeah.
Okay.
The hats are by far and away my favorite.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know. I can't get behind the 2-button look, but like other than that, it would be an amazing jersey. And maybe if it was a script balls too. But
I like the old white Tennessee with the script versus the new one. I did not like the new one this year. It looked like a jersey, like the white
pinstripe one.
No, those were okay. The other one they wore on most Fridays that looked like
The one with orange piping.
I guess
with
so.
the power T on the side.
Yes, the power T on the side. Yes, I did not like that one at
Yeah,
all.
those looked a little. They didn't. I don't know.
They looked like
weren't
practice jerseys
Well, they
to me.
weren't like a modern looking jersey.
No.
They were more of like a early 2000s look.
Yeah, not a fan.
Yeah, I mean, they were fine, but they weren't like great.
I wouldn't do the smoky gray. I would do the if you're gonna do the smoky gray. I always like. Do y'all remember the 90s Todd Helton grays with the
Yes.
blacks? If that I would love to trade out the smoky grays for those.
The Delmonico era jerseys are kind of the best.
Yeah.
In Tennessee baseball history. I'm a huge fan of the vest jerseys.
There you go.
They are so nice, and I wish they would make a comeback.
You know what I know we won't ever see is the Smoky Rays back for Tennessee men's basketball. I don't think Rick's allowing the Smoky Rays back. I'm surprised he honestly did the dark mode. I didn't think we'd ever see dark mode for Tennessee basketball.
I don't think that's I'm in the exact same boat as you. I would have fallen over and died if you had told me 2 years ago that the blacks were coming out. I didn't think. I thought he was going to keep with the orange and the white.
Yeah. But I mean, now you look at every recruiting visit and everything. It's just they're always wearing the Vols, the blackout uniforms.
You kind of have to in this day and era. Like, you got to wear whatever is the
It's popular. He
sweetest.
opened a door there, and I'm like, all right, Rick, you opened the black uniforms now. That's going to be part
Well,
of the deal.
whole photo op on the OVs.
Yes, it's always black
recruits
uniforms.
The most. That's the recruits most exciting part of the day is the OV photo shoot at the end. Like that's what they love to do. So you gotta have the good fits on for that.
You think those make a comeback next year?
Yeah,
black uniforms.
Once you've opened that door, I don't think you can be like, all right, we're done.
I think gonna wear them once and then.
Yeah, I don't.
Maybe on a noon away game again.
Yeah, I don't know where they're going to wear them, but I would be floored if we don't see those black dark mode uniforms back for the basketball team. I would be floored.
Bring them out for the Duke exhibition game. Halloween season.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I like that. I didn't think about that. It is going to be in late October. So
they normally play one of their early games like near Halloween. Swear it then.
Yeah.
Versus mid-major.
Yeah. Or a game that you need extra juice for, where it's like you need your guys fired up. You're like, I don't know where our energy's been at this week. We're going to throw in the dark mid.
Louisville.
Yeah. Maybe Louisville.
Louisville, I think is probably going to be the one.
I can see it. When we come back, G6 Garrett giving us our ULM preview as we get closer and closer to wrapping up our Sun Belt preview as we continue talking all things college football, not just Tennessee, right here on The Chase. We'll also talk about the best coordinator combination in college football is where you can join the conversation today, 865-966-3435 to jump in or text us. You can call us, text us again, 865-966-3435 is the way to join The Chase with Ethan Stone of Saturday Down South in studio with us on a Thursday. Stick with us. It's The Chase right here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and always streaming for free on that Fan Run Radio app.
The flagship station for Tennessee football. Fans. Fan Run Radio.
I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you out because only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, Assistant Smokey Bear, call me Papa Bear because I'm grilling up dinner. Do you get it?
Yes, good job.
So what should I do with all these coals?
Don't just toss them out. Put them in a metal container because those embers can start a wildfire.
I understand. The stakes are high.
Ha, 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 ha.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
What's the difference between an ordinary EV and a Mercedes-Benz EV? The feeling. Electric is what gets you there. Mercedes-Benz is what moves you in ways no other automaker can. Feel the freedom of the superbly versatile 7-seater EQB. Revel in the inspired, customizable comfort of the EQE sedan. Sense the brilliant intelligence of the EQE SUV. Discover the boundless capability of the EQS SUV. And luxuriate in the flagship meets spaceship magnificence of the EQS sedan. Every Mercedes-Benz electric vehicle offers the very latest MBUX voice-activated AI software, as well as remote access to a whole host of functions via the Mercedes Me Connect app. The vehicle's electric, the feeling all Mercedes, the choice all yours. Test drive a Mercedes-Benz electric today at your local dealer or learn more at mbusa.com/EQ.
Yee-haw! I've been hooting and hollering ever since I started betting with the VIP Play app. VIP Play has more than 200 leagues, every bet type you can imagine, live betting and live hosts, all with 24/7 support from real live people when you need them. Start betting better with the VIP Play app today.
Don't be a better, be a better with VIP Play today.
Download VIP Play today or head to VIPPlayApp.com. Make sure you use the promo code FANRUN to take advantage of their welcome bonus and so they know that we sent you. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-88-99789. Must be 21 or older and located in Tennessee to bet.
When it's past high noon, it's time for a vodka soda made with a vodka you've actually heard of. I'm talking White Claw vodka soda made with White Claw premium vodka. JB Smooth only drinks vodka soda made with the world's smoothest vodka.
And you can too. Pick you up a bottle of the triple wave filtered vodka that's been distilled 5 times. White Claw premium vodka comes in 4 flavors: black cherry, mango, pineapple, and just vodka. You haven't had vodka like this. No one has. White Claw premium vodka. Please drink responsibly.
Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and always streaming for free on that Fan Run Radio app. We got Ethan Stone of Saturday Down South in studio with us right here on a Thursday. But now we go to G6 Garrett himself as we continue on our Sun Belt preview series that we're down to 2 teams here with ULM and then Troy to wrap things up here. But what can you tell us about ULM going into this year? And is it going to be a good year, solid year? One of the more underfunded programs, I think, in all of FBS. It's a tough job at ULM. But what can you tell us about ULM in 2025? G6 Garrett.
Yes, sir. So Brian Vincent, he'll be back, obviously, as the head coach. Had a pretty good season last year. I know they ended 5-7, but as you said, it's one of the hardest places really in the entire country to win. And he has had basically a 500 season while coaching at UAB and a 500 season while coaching at Louisiana Monroe. So now he has the time to try and build a program for the next years coming. And I think if you can start your career 5-7 at ULM, you definitely have some potential to create a team that can get better year by year. They bring in the 8th ranked portal class in the Sun Belt, and then they have the 24th nationally in returning production, 64% for Bill Conley's returning production numbers. Obviously, their biggest loss on the offensive side of the ball is going to be Ahmad Hardy, who was their standout freshman running back, who ended up going to Missouri. I'm sure not a lot of people knew about him last year as he was playing at ULM, but he's probably going to be a top 5-6 running back in the SEC this season. Immense talent, so excited to see what he does over there. But they bring in some exciting guys. They bring in Zach Palmer-Smith, who was a running back at the FCS level last year. He had 1,400 rushing yards, 11 TDs, and 5 yards per carry while over at Richmond. They bring in Antavius Woody, an O-lineman from UAB, Braylon McReynolds, another running back, this time from South Alabama, Quentin Murphy, who's a two-way guy from Arkansas, Brandon Buckhalter, wide receiver from Western Kentucky, and Jaden Wright, running back from Minnesota. Those are going to be kind of their main guys that they bring in. They also bring in Tyrell Reed Jr. He played at Arkansas last year. Didn't really get any snaps, but in JUCO ball in 2023 had 833 rushing yards. So that should be an exciting guy to see if he can get back to what he had in 2023, where he was getting a lot of opportunities. Their QB1 this year will be Aiden Armenta. He had 1,200 passing yards last year, 10 touchdowns. He will need to cut down on the INTs. And he doesn't really bring back a huge amount of skill returners in the skill position. Javon Campbell, Nate Sullivan, Rylan Green, Jonathan Bibby. Those are going to be their main guys returning at the skill positions. And then, again, they have some more outgoing transfers, but they bring in some really impressive guys on the defensive side of the ball. Derek Amorgi, edge from Southern Connecticut, 40 tackles, 5.5 tackles for loss, and a sack last season. They bring in a West Florida D2 player at corner, and Cameron Centerberry, 49 tackles last season. So they bring in a lot of guys kind of from the D2 level, FCS level that had high-performing seasons last year. Instead of going out and getting unproven P4 G5 guys, they just went down a level and got a lot of guys that have experienced playing time. The defensive side of the ball, they bring a lot more back. Corian Wilson in their secondary, Carl Fountain, Leonard Harris. So they bring back a lot in the secondary. Linebacker room, they return Billy Pullen. He had 6 sacks last year, and Tristan Shorter at the edge position, another guy that can kind of play linebacker / edge. So they bring pretty solid amount back there. This season, they'll open the season against St. Francis. I think this is their last season at FCS ball. They're being relegated to D3 within the next couple of years. I don't know if that takes place this season after this one or if that's not till 2027. Then they play the big boy in Alabama week 2, UTEP week 3, Arkansas State, Northwestern, Coastal Carolina, Troy, Southern Miss, Old Dominion, South Alabama, Texas State, and Louisiana. So they pretty much get all the contenders in the Sun Belt West, Arkansas State, Texas State, and Louisiana. South Alabama will be an interesting team to play. I could see them probably being around record-wise similar to last season. I'd love to see them make a bowl game. Again, it's not an easy place to win at, though, so we'll have to see if they can do that. But I think they'll be kind of middle of the pack in the Sun Belt West this season, and if they play all the way to their standards, maybe they could compete for a little bit more in the Sun Belt West.
They also have maybe my favorite G5 uniform helmet. I don't know if y'all have
the
seen
Warbird with the on the
Yeah.
side. Yes, it's pretty.
it is
sweet.
elite.
with like the metal look to it.
Have you seen it, Ethan?
I have not. Seen
Okay,
it.
here I have it right here.
Yeah, I have seen that. I've seen that before. That's great. I'm a
It's
fan.
so clean.
Now, if you want to see the worst accessory, look up ULM digital camo jerseys.
Oh,
Your eyes
Oh, yeah.
will.
No, it was like real camo.
Maybe it was.
Yeah, no, it was like actual camo.
It was like the Florida jerseys that they did a while ago,
Oh,
but
yeah.
significantly worse.
Yeah.
yeah, this is not good.
That's not real. I refuse to believe this is real.
That's not good.
You can't see him, dude, when he's in the backfield.
It's true. Well, you know who I really couldn't see. Do y'all remember the Color Rush uniforms back in the NFL? Like,
Yeah.
I guess a decade ago almost now. So I am colorblind. So I am literally like when you have to find the number in those dots. Have y'all ever done the colorblind test?
Yeah.
Okay, Gary, you look confused. Do you know the?
I mean, I'm sure I have, but
Okay,
I don't recall.
it's one of those where they give you a book and there's a bunch of little.
Okay, yeah, I do know what you're talking about.
Like it looks like a bunch of Dippin' Dots.
Yeah.
Is the
Yeah.
way I would
Yes,
explain it.
Or like some stones or something
Yes.
like that.
And I can't find the number in a lot of them. It's really frustrating is because like if you do it with someone who's not, they're like, what do you mean? It's 32. It's right there. And you're just looking at the same thing and you're like, I don't see anything. I don't know what to do. And it can become a very annoying experience altogether. So I struggle with colors, especially like navy blue, black, and red, green color blindness, that kind of thing. So the colorblind game, do y'all remember that controversy on Thursday night many years ago in the NFL? That affected me. I remember in real time having like a headache and trying to look at both. So when the Bills were all red and the Jets were all green at the line of scrimmage, when they're hitting each other, it messed with my, like there were, if you go type in during that time period on Twitter, like all the different folks who also suffered from colorblindness, just really frustrated with the game. It's like, you can't have an all red team wearing red pants, red jerseys and all green jerseys and all green pants. But yeah, that was a uniform dumpster fire for myself and all of us colorblind folks many years ago.
What would you rank? We can go around the room.
Hmm.
Top 5 worst jerseys of all time. Any sports.
Oh, I think all the NBA jerseys I'm throwing in there. Like the jersey era was
Is this
so
like
bad.
The Christmas Day jersey
Yes.
that they did?
The worst one. The worst one was the Warriors one where they wore the pinstripe pants.
Yes.
That
bad.
was by far and away the worst. I think the Christmas jerseys, it was kind of fun just as like a one-off type thing, but like no, the Warriors ones were just so unbelievably bad. Also, I think the Grizzlies had a good one. It was on MLK Day. They had a pretty good one. I think it was the last year with Adidas.
What do you think?
I have to go with the Steelers Bumblebee jerseys. I hate
Those
them.
are bad.
I hate them so
I love
much. They're you love them, dude. I can't stand them. It's an eyesore to look at.
I got into football like the year the Steelers wore those jerseys, and I'm like, those are so cool.
Do y'all remember the Georgia uniforms they wore against Boise in the Dome years ago
Yes.
with that chrome helmet and the red stripe down the top?
Maybe. I don't know. Those ULM jerseys right there. Where
They're in the
They're in the
conversation.
conversation. You can't see the guy. He's in camo. You can't see anything.
They're pretty terrible.
I will say the MLB City Connect jerseys, some of those are horrible as well. Like the Red Sox jersey that they wear, that's like yellow. Like that's very much an eyesore.
All the City Connect. I mean, this is a controversial take, but I mean, even the Braves, the City Connect, like the old school, I don't love it every Saturday. I liked it when it was
No.
just every now and then. I don't like that it's become like a
No,
primary.
They were
weekly
like the
spot.
baby blues. Those are the best jerseys like ever. The ones that are like the historic
Yeah.
Braves. Those are.
But they're not. They're like a weird. It's kind of like that Rams blend where they're like, oh, we're back to the blue and yellow. It's like, well, not really.
Yeah.
You're close to what the Rams used to do, but it's not. It's not identical. Also, those Rams. I don't know. I guess I did like the blue and white, the navy blue and white. They did those alternates. They don't do anymore. I'm trying to think of who else really jumps out to terrible uniforms. Who do y'all got?
The Jazz highlighters.
The Jazz highlight.
They're
That whole
the
Jazz
yellow
set,
and black, and they have absolutely nothing else. It's just a black and awful.
The Nets also stink. Like the black and
They're
white,
so
just
boring.
it's
Yeah,
so
they're so
generic.
That's a good one.
It just doesn't feel right. The honeycomb Georgia Tech uniforms, I just was reminded as Yellow Jackets, they don't, honey not involved in the process. Not a lot of.
How about
Florida had a jersey one time. I think it was like in 2000 when Chris Leak was there, where they wore blue jerseys, but then they had like orange shoulder. They had a singular orange shoulder on it. It was like
I don't remember that as much.
It was like all blue and then just orange, like right there.
Maybe neon Under Armour All-American game jerseys, like circa 2015.
No, I love those. That's like I like those to be egregious. Like that feel like an Oregon type look, and I usually will ride for most of the Oregon looks.
That's such a crazy poll.
This one is like I love this jersey personally because it's nostalgic, but like objectively it's a terrible jersey. The old Predators mustard cat jerseys, like
that's a good take.
Yeah. I personally love them, but I know they're terrible.
Oh, speaking of the mustard ones, the Jacksonville Jaguars UPS uniforms were so bad.
These that I'm holding up, the Mississippi State
Oh, my glasses
green
here.
jerseys, those are pretty awful.
Those were very bad, yes.
Yeah. Well, I looked it up a second ago. Worst college football jerseys ever. The number one was those Florida camo ones that we were talking about.
Yeah.
Skin.
While a player at a photo shoot hit the Heisman pose with that jersey on. So.
Also, the Commanders uniforms, pretty terrible. I hate that gradient look, and that the white Commanders uniform currently is so bad. I can't stand that one. The numbers are terrible. Everything looks forgettable. It's just a terrible uniform, terrible look. They are bringing it back a little bit because they have the yellow pants and the red top. So that's an alternate though. So I'm like, how long? Just lean into it. What are we doing?
Didn't Nebraska have one a couple of years back that was awful? That was like a block N type of thing that was terrible.
Yeah,
I want to say
it was Nebraska and Wisconsin. They faced off.
Oh,
yeah, those were pretty bad.
The Adidas era Michigan jerseys were so bad. Like even their away jerseys.
Yeah,
like they're like a very historic school. They messed up their away jerseys.
Oh, I don't. Here's for my Bears fan here. I hate these orange ones.
This is a bad take. I love these jerseys.
It doesn't look like the Bears.
It doesn't look like the Bears, but they're awesome. I'm a fan of. There's a lot of Chicago fans that don't like the orange jerseys either. Maybe it's just because I'm a Vols guy as well. But
yeah.
I'm a big fan of the orange Bears jerseys. They've rolled out recently.
I don't like the old school Packers uniforms.
Yeah,
I think that's a tough look. Yeah, there's only one perfect uniform set, and it doesn't matter what era in the NFL. It's the Chargers. Doesn't matter what era of Chargers football. It always looks good. The Chargers have never missed on the uniform department.
Oh, here's another one. So bad it's good. The Denver Broncos, like brown and yellow jerseys.
No, those are bad. Those are just
Have the Falcons had that many bad jerseys? Like I feel like they stay pretty consistent. Like they're just the Falcons.
The gradient were pretty bad. That two-toned red and black they wore early on of this new uniform change was not good.
Yeah,
I would say.
I just don't like their standard jersey look. They look like, I don't know, they look like generic.
But generally speaking, I agree with you. I do think the Falcons
they've
have been
never
pretty
tried to do anything like real stupid. Now I tell you what was horrible. Well, maybe people disagree. Remember the Hawks where those they went through like that neon.
Yeah,
hold
on, Bolt Green, Bolt Green,
whatever those were. They had it at they had it on the half court symbol.
Yes,
and it was
those were horrible, and with like the triangles.
Yeah. The only Hawks jersey I have is a Vince Carter jersey with that color tone on it from like 2019 or something.
I always think of Kent Bazemore and Dwight Howard. That's when they were trying to make Dwight Howard and Paul Millsap work. Yeah, it's a dark time in it.
I have another one for you. The Memphis Grizzlies City Edition jerseys from last year, where it was just like the lines. You know what I'm talking about? It was like
not really.
It said MEM but it was just like if you didn't know it, you wouldn't know what it meant. Hold on. Try to pull up a photo.
I know what he's talking about.
Yes.
Bad radio, but I know what we're talking about.
Ethan, do you have another one before we wrap up here?
I was going to say the Packers one as well, but I have a little bit of bias. I really don't like their throwback ones. I don't think they're the worst, though. I don't know. I think the Bumblebees are the ones that really, truly disgust me. I don't have too many outside of that. I hate the Bumblebees enough to mention it twice.
That's fair. That's fair.
See what happens when you start talking about G5 football? It just leads.
You never know where it goes.
Yeah,
you never know where it goes. When we come back, I do know where the conversation will go because we will have Graham Hall of Swamp 247 on the program. Talk about this updated status on DJ Lagway, where things are with Florida football going into 2025, and a whole lot more with Tennessee going to the Swamp here in late November. So we'll get the inside scoop on all things Florida Gators football with Graham Hall. Stick with us. It's The Chase right here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and always streaming for free on that Fan Run Radio app.
For the fans, by the fans, this is Fan Run Radio, Knoxville.
Hey, Pack Rat. Yeah, you. Are you moving cross country and you just don't know who to call? Call us right now. Listen, you've probably seen one of our containers in your neighborhood, but did you know that we can help you move anywhere in the United States? It's real simple. We'll drop a container off at the location you tell us to bring it to. You pack up your valuable possessions at your leisure. They stay safe right in your home. And when you're ready, call us. We'll come and pick up the container and give you a scheduled date of when your furniture and the other possessions will be at your new home. So if you're moving across country or across town, be a Pack Rat. Join the Pack Rat family. Call Pack Rat right now for your free quote. See y'all later, Pack Rats.
Call 800-965-1298. 800-965-1298. 800-965-1298. That's 800-965-1298.
Barley's has live music on weekends, general team trivia on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m., and now live sports trivia, courtesy of the Knoxville Trivia Guys, every Thursday night upstairs. The game starts at 7 p.m. and is free to play for everyone, so head on down to the Old City and show off your sports knowledge and win gift cards to Barley's. Use those gift cards to buy some delicious food and drinks, and you can take it all in with their wide selection of TVs and indoor projectors. Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria.
A brand built in Tennessee and born from the love of the game, Inward Half revolutionizes golfing comfort. Crafted by a former pro and dedicated enthusiast just like you, our luxury performance wear guarantees you stay cool and comfortable through every swing and every day. We're not just a brand. We've set out to create a lifestyle for those who understand that impeccable style and premium performance are a hole-in-one. Enjoy the walk-in with Inward Half.
Doctors take Field of Greens for their own health. Here's Dr. Ryan Green to explain.
We're like you, too much fast food and not enough exercise. That's why I take Field of Greens. The fruits and vegetables in Field of Greens support my heart, lungs, kidneys, and metabolism for weight loss. And Field of Greens promises your doctor will notice your improved health or your money back.
Get 15% off with promo code RADIO at fieldofgreens.com. That's promo code RADIO at fieldofgreens.com. Product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Whether you are buying or selling a home or even looking for some land to build on and start a family, be sure to give Reed Emerson with Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate Heritage Group a shout. He is a longtime listener and supporter of Fan Run and has been serving the Mid-State for many years. Reed prides himself on his hassle-free and honest approach. And that's because he's not just chasing another commission. He wants what is best for his clients. Give Reed Emerson a call or text him today to get the process started. His number is 931-492-0418, or you can find him online at bhgheritagegroup.com.
Ace right here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and always streaming for free on that Fan Run Radio app. On the line right now, old friend Graham Hall of Swamp 247 to talk all things Gators. Graham, good afternoon, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. So is it still just all panic among the Florida faithful in terms of where things stand on the injury front for DJ Lagway? Have things calmed down a little bit? What's the latest on DJ?
I think it's more disappointment than anything, because this is someone who I think the talent is clear, and the disappointment is that he's not getting the practice reps that you would like your second-year quarterback to get. I mean, as impressive as he was last year, there are a lot of things that he can improve upon, and building a rapport with his wide receivers is absolutely invaluable this time of year, and he can work on reading defenses and a lot of other aspects of his game that would really raise, I think, Florida's ceiling, and him not getting that time there's a bit of concern. I don't know if we're at the panic point right now. It's still the off season, but there is a lot of disappointment here. And I think some concern seriously about how healthy he's going to be able to be, how much Florida is going to need to protect him this season, if there's going to be a desire to maybe limit how much you're going to use his athleticism, knowing that if he takes a hit or, even comes up limping, there's a noticeable drop-off at quarterback behind him. So it's too early to panic right now, but if we get into the season here and he's still either dealing with a lower body injury, mobility issues, or if that shoulder becomes a concern, then certainly the panic is going to escalate here in Gainesville, not just with the fan base, with the coaching staff as well, just knowing how daunting this schedule is for Florida after those first 2 games.
Is this why? Because it felt like at the time, Deshaun Party, who was a super raw but super athletic, high upside kind of guy coming out of Charlotte, like that was a Georgia-Florida battle. So there's obvious some real SEC intrigue for him. Ultimately, you have to pivot. He's might be QB1 this fall at Wake Forest now. But would you feel a whole lot better about Florida's season, even with the uncertainty surrounding DJ, if Party was able to stay in the boat and it wasn't Bailey backing him up?
Oh, absolutely. I do think that Deshaun Party was one of the most impressive freshman quarterbacks last season, and it was a tough situation for Florida. You know, I don't know where the miscommunication went, but I think he had a chance, and some Florida fans would sit here and say, how could you believe that? But I think he had a chance to, in his opinion, come in and contend for the starting job. Now, obviously, those who watched DJ Lagway last year were already under the impression that this was going to be his job. Absolutely. In 2025, there'd be no discussion of a quarterback battle. He gets to Gainesville and realizes that his playing time is not going to be what he desires. And like you said, he has a chance to go out there being started quarterback at Wake Forest and, a chance to start in the ACC. No one's going to knock him for that decision over being a backup, even in the SEC. But it does leave Florida in a situation where, like I said, there is a drop off at quarterback behind him. And that's no disrespect to the guys that are on Florida's roster at quarterback besides DJ Lagway. But I do think that Lagway is a special talent. His arm power, his ability to escape the pocket, make plays happen with his legs, make throws on the run. There aren't a lot of quarterbacks that can do that and the way he can, and certainly not on Florida's roster. You look at Harrison Bailey, a guy that you guys are very familiar with up there, of course, has bounced around a few spots. Is he going to even be the number 2 quarterback? Aiden Warner played 6 quarters last year when Lagway went down and after Graham Mertz went down in Tennessee last year. And what you saw at Aiden Warner left a lot to be desired, but he's noticeably improved throughout the last 7-8 months. He's probably, in my opinion, going to be the backup quarterback, but that's a different guy with a different skill set compared to DJ Lagway. How does that change the offense if they have to turn to Warner, if injuries rear their ugly head in Gainesville this upcoming season? That's a huge question mark for Florida, and it's why they got to keep him healthy. But yeah, to answer the question, you would feel a lot better if Deshaun Purdy was here because he has a very similar skill set to DJ Lagway. So it wouldn't have changed, in my opinion, the offense nearly as much if you had to go to Purdy compared to having to go to either Bailey or Aiden Warner.
Hey, Graham, this is Ethan Stone. You alluded to it a little bit earlier. I wonder with Florida's schedule being just so tough this season and not really having too much of a break at any point after the first 2 games in the season, I wonder what's the vibe in Gainesville and with you on what you think the most important game, most must-win game is this season for Florida.
I think the LSU game is probably the most important one, but a lot of Florida fans are also going to say Georgia. You even throw Tennessee in there just for where it is on the schedule, but I'll start with LSU because there's a really good chance that Florida across last season into that LSU game is going to be riding a 6-game win streak, facing Long Island in week 1 and then USF and Gainesville in week 2. But you go to LSU, if you don't look competitive in that game, or you even get blown out, that's going to ruin a lot of the goodwill and momentum that Florida has assembled and built over the last, almost a year now since that 4-game win streak to end the season. If they look vastly inferior to LSU, that's going to cause a lot of concern, and you're going to see that hot seat for Billy Napier get a little bit warmer here, and it also is starting SEC play on the wrong note. So I think that's absolutely a very important game for Florida. Winning road games has been a question mark under Napier in Gainesville, and they could change that narrative if they go in to Tiger Stadium in a night game in front of all those fans and come out with a victory against a team that a lot of people are picking to be one of the best in the SEC this year. You look at what LSU did in the transfer portal and obviously getting Garrett Nussmeier back and the talent they have, and Brian Kelly being a very, very capable coach. I'm not going to say an elite coach right now, but I do think that is just a team that is, I think, going to be in the college football conversation for much of the year. If Florida can get that victory, that's massive. But then also Georgia, every Florida fan every single year wants to beat Georgia, and the Dogs have a 4-game winning streak. Billy Napier's still seeking his first victory against that arch rival for Florida, and they had a really good chance last year. You add in the disappointment of that game when DJ Lagway goes down in the second quarter. Florida had a lead in that game, and then they lose that game by 14, but it was close there even going into the fourth quarter. It was tied with 7 minutes to play. So if you could get a win over Georgia, that would be massive for Napier. And then Tennessee, if all goes according to plan for Florida and for the Vols, that late game in November could have, some deciding factors in it when it comes to one of those teams getting into the college football playoff. That's going to be a massive game, in my opinion, for both teams. So I think any of those three games, I hate to opt out of picking a sole team here because I think you can make a case with Florida's schedule that there's a bunch of games that are going to be really, really impactful this year. I mean, that's before even mentioning Texas in the beginning of October, going on the road to Texas A&M, another really good chance to play a team that I think is going to be in contention for the college football playoffs. So there are no shortage of games on Florida's schedule that I think are going to be really, really impactful this year. But not to coach speak here a little bit, isn't that why you come to the SEC? That's why you go to Tennessee. That's why you go to Florida. It's to play in games that every single week are going to be impactful to your team making the postseason or not.
Hey, Graham, thanks for coming on. This is Garrett. Kind of interested in this wide receiver room. Obviously, Eugene Wilson dealt with some injuries last year. They bring in the UCLA transfer, and Dallas Wilson's a guy that looks like he's put on some pounds since he got to school and really looks like he could be a factor this season. How do you see the wide receiver room playing, and how much do you expect them to use Dallas Wilson as a freshman this fall?
I think it's absolutely one of the more impressive units on Florida's roster, and I understand why some people out there are skeptical about it because Florida loses their top two pass catchers from a season ago, and Chimere Dike, who's now with the Tennessee Titans, and Elijah Badger, who's looked pretty good so far in camp with the Kansas City Chiefs, despite being an undrafted free agent. But, you look at the guys that they have either returning or who they've added as freshmen or transfers, and I think that this room is extremely deep and talented. You mentioned Sturdivant. He's better than his numbers indicated at UCLA. Look what he did at Cal his first couple of years before he transferred to UCLA. Fast wide receiver, one of the top 4 fastest wide receivers on their team, and he's a big-bodied guy. I think he's going to start for Florida. And then you bring back Eugene Wilson, who I think some people in the SEC are still sleeping on him, but he is absolutely dynamic. You can run him out of the backfield as well. He can make guys miss in the open field. He's added some muscle, gotten more physical, which was a needed thing for him, and I think he's going to be really, really impactful for Florida. But then you look at all the shiny new toys aside from Sturdivant, the freshmen that the Gators have added. It's not just Dallas Wilson. It's Vernell Brown, Nashawn Montgomery, an in-state guy that a lot of teams in the Power 4 wanted. Moise Tunkara has had a really, really good offseason from what we've heard. But Dallas Wilson, I think, of the ones that I just mentioned and that you brought up, that's the guy that I think is going to be really, really good for Florida this season. He's just been a standout since he got on campus. He had that spring game record where he had 10 catches for 195 yards and 2 touchdowns, broke multiple spring game records. He did it as an early enrollee true freshman. I think that he is going to be in the mix. Aiden Mizell is another guy that I think is going to contribute. Obviously, Vernell Brown, a legacy guy. Teams like Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama were in the mix for him too. And then don't sleep on some of the returning guys. Aiden Mizell, like I mentioned, is really, really fast. He's going to see the field. Tank Hawkins, another guy who hits 23 miles per hour. You have TJ Abrams. You even have Khalil Jackson, a guy who was a starter last year, a veteran guy who's coming off a torn ACL, had a second procedure on his knee in June. What's his impact going to be if you get a healthy Khalil Jackson? And that's the guy that the Florida coaching staff really, really likes and trusts, and he's going to get his opportunities. So DJ Lagway has no shortage of weapons around him, and that's before even touching on the guys in the backfield like Jacoby Jackson, Jaden Baugh, who's been described as the strongest player on the team, a guy who led Florida in rushing last year as a true freshman. DJ Lagway has no shortage of weapons around him, and he's got an offensive line that returns more than 3,000 snaps from last season for their 5 starters. I think Florida's offense is going to be much better than a lot of people think out there, but if you've been following their roster, who they brought back, and what they were able to do with the talent at, especially underclassmen last season, it makes a lot of sense that this Florida team is going to be a lot more explosive this season.
One of the things that it makes me think that Florida's floor is safer than a lot of folks might anticipate, even with or without TJ Lagway being at 100%, is that, you have a first-round tackle in Barber. I think in the trenches, Florida is deeper than they've been in a while. You still keep Sapp, you got McCray, you got Gums Jr., you got Woods, you got a whole lot of dudes on the defensive line that just looks like a scary defensive line of the past for Florida. And I just think they're pretty strong in trench play. And I think that's going to serve them well in a lot of these big games, is that, yes, everyone's going to look at Dallas Wilson, Eugene Wilson. They're going to look at DJ and company. But to me, I think they're stronger in the trenches, even with a couple edge departures. I think they just had too many, and you would know this better than me. It just felt like they had too many guys there to keep everybody happy. but that's an indication that Florida is really strong, especially on the edge and just at the tackle spots as a whole, right?
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. Caleb Banks is a guy who really came on last season in November. I think he's going to be really, really good at defensive tackle, playing that 3-tech role for Florida. I think there is a question at nose tackle because you lose Cam Jackson and Desmond Watson. But you got Jamari Lyons coming back from a significant injury that he suffered nearly a year ago in fall camp. He went down with a fractured ankle. He's probably going to contend for that role along with Mekhi Barrow, a few other guys. Brendan Bett, who they added from Baylor after the spring, is going to be an impact player for Florida. And then, yeah, that edge room, I think, is going to be really, really good. You get Tyreek Sapp back, a guy who I also think is going to get early round consideration in 2026 if he has the season that many people are expecting him to have. He's physically improved even. He's a veteran last year of college football. I think he's going to be really good. George Gums was a sneaky good ad for the Gators. You know, he was only, I think, the 1,000th rated transfer out of the portal back, you know, ahead of the 2024 season. And last year he proved that he is much better than that. You know, a guy who's relatively young to playing defense, but he's going to be impactful for Florida at that jack linebacker position. And then, you know, everyone talks about DJ Lagway being the biggest addition that the Gators made in the class of 2024. You know, right after him is LJ McCray, a guy who, you know, 5-star status, is absolutely transformed his body. I think he's added like 40 pounds of muscle. This is someone who is going to also play that jack spot with George Gums, but he has the ability to rotate and play the F position where Tyreek Sapp is. So I think Florida's going to be really, really good off the edge. A couple other guys in the mix as well. Cameron James is going to have a good season. I know it's not really a well-known name, but I think he's going to be really good for Florida. And then they have a freshman that they added in Jaden Woods, who comes in, you know, a Midwest guy, has just a elite football mentality, always gives 100% in everything he does, from the weight room to the field. As a freshman, is he going to have opportunities to contribute? Even though they have talent there, I think that my gut tells me right now that you're going to see Jaden Woods get a lot of opportunities this year as a true freshman. So I do think Florida is really, really good on the line of scrimmage. They're good in the trenches from the offensive line to the defensive line. I think most of their questions on defense are outside of the front seven. You know, you got to replace Shamar James at that, you know, will linebacker spot, but you got Miles Graham and Aaron Childs that I think are going to play. Two guys who now in their second year have looked a lot better. Miles Graham is going to be really, really good. Another legacy guy for Florida. And then you have a battle at cornerback with Cormani McClain, a pretty well-known name for fans who follow recruiting. You know, a former 5-star guy who went to Colorado. Things didn't work out there, and last year was definitely a learning period for him at Florida. But this year he's going to be in contention for a starting role with Dijon Johnson. And then Florida returns their 2 starting safeties from last year, and Jordan Castell, a guy who started as a freshman, and Bryce Thornton, who just proved to be an absolute ball hawk last year for Florida. He had 2 picks in that game where they won against Ole Miss down the stretch. And I think another year for him of improvement and the depth that they have there. Florida's going to be much better on defense than we've seen during the Billy Napier era if everything comes to fruition and they end up developing depth there and avoid that, you know, dreaded injury bug that is always going to hit teams, which is why it's so important to have that depth.
It's Graham Hall, Swamp 247. Fantastic insight as always, my friend. I appreciate you making the time for us today, and enjoy fall camp, and we'll have to check back in again soon.
Absolutely. Hope you guys are doing well. Pleasure's all mine. We'll have to talk very soon. Y'all take care.
Graham Hall, Swamp 247, does a fantastic job covering the Florida Gators. Fantastic insight for a Florida team that who knows what they look like when Tennessee gets there in late November. But yeah, it's an interesting situation for Florida as a whole. A lot of young, intriguing guys at receiver. I think the line play and the trenches play, they're going to be pretty strong there. But I mean, the Lagway question, man. I mean, and a lot of Fall fans who are thinking like it might be Harrison Bailey. You just heard it from Graham. It would be Aiden Warner as QB2 in that situation, which would make, I mean, it'd be the most Vol thing ever to go down to the Swamp and lose to Harrison Bailey. Aiden Warner, I feel a little bit better about. No offense to Aiden Warner.
Yeah, I absolutely second that it would be very much the most Vols things ever. You know, especially so if Tennessee is kind of like Graham said, and kind of like he alluded to earlier, if they're fighting for a college football playoff spot, Harrison Bailey comes in 30 for 35, 3 touchdowns. You know, the writing's on the wall.
We're not putting that out in the atmosphere.
This has got to be their most talented roster, though, in the Napier era, I would say, from front to bottom at the trenches. I mean, their wide receiver room, as he said, is pretty deep. Running back room, you have, you know, an elite quarterback if he's healthy. Secondary, like, they don't seem to really have too many pieces on that team that are weak. Like, every position group seems like they have dudes that can play. That Cormani McLean is interesting. I almost kind of forgot about him.
5-star walk-on.
It seemed like he kind of obviously had some stuff, at Colorado. It seemed like he was kind of a locker room issue at one point, but if he's figured that out and sees the field, I mean, he obviously has immense potential. So that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, Florida's, who knows? They can go so many different ways in 2025. It's hard, but they have, like you said, a lot of talent.
They are like the biggest question mark.
It's them and Tennessee.
Oklahoma, I would still throw in. I would say
See, the thing,
Auburn too.
And
Auburn.
we were talking about under review. They had earlier today. They had the top 5 SEC coaches hot seats, and they had Napier 3. And I'm sitting there thinking if Lagway's not healthy, I don't understand how that's a fireable offense.
Yeah.
You don't have that just doesn't seem with the roster that he's built. He's recruiting really well. This is the most momentum they've had going into a season in a while. It was a good off season.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem like you could fire him.
I would just tie him to Lagway anyway. It's just once Lagway's gone, depending on where you're at, what is the health of the program once
who
you
do they hire though is my question.
Yeah.
I mean, who are you going to get? And I'm not saying that he's the best coach, but it comes to a point when some things are you going to find someone better than him?
Well, also does Scott Strickland, the AD, get another football hire? Because that's the other part of all of this. When you think about hiring and firing, it's just ADs usually don't get that many hirings. Because I believe he hired Mullen. He hired I want to say he hired who was before Mullen? Why am I blanking?
McElwain.
Was it McElwain before Mullen?
It was Jim McElwain.
Was it?
Yeah, it was McElwain, and then it was Muschamp before that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how many Scott Strickland gets there as AD.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he seems like he's recruiting too well anyways to fire him. In my opinion, I don't know. They seem like one of those teams we talk about Tennessee. They're probably a year ahead of us, but it's we're going to be good. We see in 2-3 years, they're going to be good this year, next year. The recruits that they've put on the field, the time is now kind of for them this year, next year.
It might be a weak take as well, but I mean, winning 8 games last season with the schedule they had.
Yeah, that was a heck of a job.
The people they had, I mean, it was one of the more impressive jobs in the SEC.
Especially when you get run out of the stadium by Miami in the first game of the season.
And to Graham's point, that Lagway went down against Georgia. You never know what would happen there, but
they were winning when he went down. That's his only loss.
I think they would have beat him.
Yeah, winning 8 games, possibility of 9 games with a win against Georgia, and I mean everything that he has going for him this year. I mean, obviously, we don't really know where Florida's going to go, but it'd be kind of tough for them to just say, "Hey, hit the road."
Well, also to put a bow on it, and we'll go to break. I mean, let's go around the room really quick here. Yes or no? If Graham Mertz on the flip side doesn't get hurt in the Tennessee game, do you think Tennessee still beats Florida?
That's a tough question to answer because Lagway really was not doing well.
No, that was Graham Mertz was cooking.
Yeah, he was really not doing well. I think if Mertz plays, there's a strong chance Florida wins that because they
went
almost
to
won it
overtime
anyway.
barely.
Yeah, they almost won it anyway. And Lagway really, really, really did not have his best game. He was struggling in Neyland.
I think we still would. I mean, it was a checkerboard game. The environment was pretty raucous. I feel like you could have gotten a defensive stop in the fourth quarter when needed.
Okay.
Maybe created a turnover at some point.
I think it was just one of those things where it was at Neyland. I think Tennessee was going to win anyway.
Okay.
And plus, at that point, Tennessee was kind of the better team, even though Florida.
22 you were, and Anthony Richardson had the ball and a chance to win. Onside kick. And
that Hail Mary got closer than you'd like it to.
Yeah. I remember I was in the stands for that game with my wife, and they were passing around just a deflated gator in the second quarter, and Tennessee fans were just so pumping their chest out here, and I'm just like, what are we doing here? Are y'all new here? I don't feel great.
This is a team we don't beat very.
Yeah,
often.
what are we doing?
When they got the onside kick, I had resigned myself. I thought they were losing that game.
It did not feel great.
It was exactly the same way. Y'all remember when South Carolina recovered the onside against Alabama last year? It was literally the exact same feeling. This team is literally going to blow a 14-point lead in a minute and a half.
Yeah, it was terrifying stuff. It'll be terrifying again. I will just go ahead and pencil that one in. Florida, Tennessee will be. Make sure you have your Pepto ready because I think it's going to be a highly contentious and stressful affair once again. No matter when we play them on the calendar, I don't think that's going to be an easy one. When we come back, we'll put a bow on today's edition of The Chase with Ethan Stone of Saturday on South in studio with us. We'll talk college football coordinators and who are the best combination here in the sport, and new video board for Tennessee hoops and what we think about that. That's a welcome addition in Inside TBA at Food City Center. and a whole lot more. So stick with us. It's The Chase right here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and always streaming for free on that Fan Run Radio app.
Check out our new and improved website at fanrunradio.com.
We make it easy to save money. Get access to thousands of discounts on shopping, dining, and travel with the CFB Plus Perks account. It's a powerful new way to save money with roadside assistance, cell phone protection, identity theft protection, and credit monitoring. Banking at CFB has its perks. Call or stop by a branch for more details.
Citizens National Bank. Banking never felt so good.
Member FDIC.
Yo, 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 what is up with it, homies? Talk sports. That's the show you want. It's the longest running sports radio morning show in town. You want your radio shows to be fun, and that's what Talk Sports is. Fun, fun, fun. No weirdo callers. I think Tennessee gonna go 6-6 this year. No nerdy guests. Well, their receiver depth is a little bit thin. Just two of the most entertaining guys in town, and Bubba giving you what you need. Tune in 7 to 10 a.m. every weekday here on Fan Run Radio.
This is Coach Josh Heupel. In football and life, you need a solid defense to protect what matters most. That's where Farm Bureau Insurance of Tennessee comes in. Score peace of mind with Farm Bureau Insurance, the official insurance of the Vols. They're your line of defense. FBITN.com.
This is Baseball VFL Cody Brown. Farm Bureau Insurance is the official insurance of the Tennessee Vols. I'm here to be that line of defense for all your insurance needs. Give me a call at 865-992-3871 and go Vols.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jacob Wilco, and I'm proud to join the team here at Knoxville Smiles, where we're leading the way in comfortable, modern dentistry. Many people are anxious about going to the dentist. Here at Knoxville Smiles, our team works hard to make the experience as comfortable as possible. We offer everything from warm blankets to sedation dentistry to help you relax and make your visit as enjoyable as possible. So if it's been a while since you've been to the dentist, give us a call at 865-539-1776 to experience a dental visit that will make you smile.
Hey Knoxville, Surfside iced tea and vodka made with real brewed tea is only 100 calories, 2 grams of sugar with no bubbles and no troubles. That's right, zero carbonation, so it's easy to sip and enjoy. Headed to a game day or party at a friend's house? Bring an iced tea or lemonade variety pack from Surfside or try their green tea and new raspberry tea vodka. Find the can with the sunset stripes this season. Surfside iced tea and vodka, sold at bars, restaurants, and stores near you. Surfside iced tea and vodka, sunshine in a can. Must be 21 or older. Enjoy responsibly.
Running a business, coaching a team, planning your next big event, you need more than just gear. You need SM Athletics and Logo Solutions. Custom uniforms, branded apparel, promotional products, done right, done fast, and built to show off your brand with pride. From local businesses to high schools to major universities, SM Athletics is trusted by winners. Get real service, get real quality, get noticed. SM Athletics and Logo Solutions, where your brand comes to life.
Visit smathletics.com and let's build something great together.
Chase right here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and always streaming for free on that Fan Run Radio app. Saturday Down South, Ethan Stone in here wrapping up on a suddenly scary, gloomy Thursday afternoon here in Knoxville, Tennessee. The dark clouds are circling here, so we might be walking out into a rainstorm once we wrap up here today. So stay safe, East Tennesseans, here on this fine afternoon. College football top coordinator combinations. It's something overlooked, because everyone looks at head coach, like hot seat. Who's the best coach? Who's the best old coach? Who's the best young and up-and-coming head coach? But more and more, if you look around the league, look at who were the two teams in the national championship game this year. What was one of the unique things about them? Round robin here. What was the unique thing about Notre Dame and Ohio State this past season?
They had great coordinators.
They had great coordinators who called plays on both sides of the ball. Marcus Freeman is a CEO coach now and a great recruiter and doing a fantastic job at Notre Dame. But that was Al Golden calling the defense and Mike Denbrock calling the offense. Ohio State, when they finally broke through and won a national title with Ryan Day, it was Chip Kelly calling the offense and it was Jim Knowles calling the defense. at a certain point, I just think it's too hard and there's too many things going on for coaches to be the head coach and play caller. I mean, Steve Sarkisian still calling plays, but that hasn't led to a national title. Ryan Grubb, when he got to the college football national championship under Kalen DeBoer, he was calling plays for the Huskies. You saw Garrett Riley calling plays for Sonny Dykes, TCU, when they got to the national title game. And Sonny Dykes, offensive whiz, and has coached a lot of good offenses. But I think more and more it's hard. Like, part of the thing with Tennessee right now, you do need Joey Halsley to really be able to start calling plays so Heupel can be more of a CEO, game manager, coach. But I don't know. We'll see if that's the case this year. But you had that with Golish, where Golish was calling plays and it took stuff off Heupel's plate. And I think that's more and more important in today's game. So when I look at staffs, I'm like, what is the whole staff? Like, Billy Napier's calling plays in Florida. And it's like, at some point, you got to take your foot off the gas here and hire some coordinators to do this for you so you can move on and just look at the program as a whole. But let's go around. Who is the best coordinator combination in college football right now, Ethan?
I think it's Penn State, Andy Kotelnicki, and Jim Knowles coming over from Ohio State. That's going to make I mean, there's a reason why there's a lot of people calling the Nittany Lions one of the best teams in football. There's a reason some people are saying they're the AP #1 preseason team in college football. And it's I feel like a big part of it is Knowles coming over from Ohio State. One of the best defensive coordinators in the game. And then I'll leave it at that since we're going with two others.
Okay, I like that one. What about you, Garrett?
That was the exact one I was going to say. I don't think anything comes close to it. I mean, you have a defensive coordinator that just won a national championship and goes to Penn State. And then obviously with Drew Aller, can he make the step this year? That'll be kind of the defining factor if Penn State's really a national champion caliber team, or if they're the usual 10-2 Big Ten title game loser, just out of it, and then losing the first or second round of the playoffs. Because I think everyone is expecting them to be in the playoffs. It's just a matter of, can they make the next step and be win the national title.
Okay. What about you, Jay?
I think it's Penn State too.
I think it's sneaky one is Blake Baker and Sloan at LSU. I don't think it's on the level of Penn State. I really don't think there's a close second place, and that's kind of I think it's kind of pictured by all of us picking that, but
I think there's a close. I mean, I think Notre Dame with Dim Brock and Chris Ash this year. I mean, it was golden before, but I think Chris Ash was a good defensive mind. He's not a good head coach, but it would not surprise me if he's one of the best DCs again.
Clemson could be sneaky this year.
Yeah, Tom Allen and Garrett Riley.
Garrett Riley, what he's done with Klubnik's development's pretty impressive over there. They're my national title pick. So
Can I tell you the one that I think it would not surprise me if it's all said and done that this is the best coordinator combination that no one's talking about right now this year? Shannon Dawson and the Miami new defensive coordinator they brought in from Minnesota, who was the Minnesota defensive coordinator last year. They had the top 5 defense, Corey Hetherman. If he works out, that is a big-time combination because I think Shannon Dawson's absolutely one of the 10 best play callers on offense. You had the #1 offense last season anyway with Cam Ward and company. I think under Cristobal, I really like the Dawson-Corey Hetherman combination at the coordinator front for the Canes.
Yeah, that's definitely a good. I thought you were going to say Womack and why am I blanking on his name? Ryan Grubb.
Oh yeah,
coming over. That's probably going to be a good one too. Should help their offense at Alabama a lot
for sure.
The Miami one, I mean, it's just I don't want to bang the nail on its head again, but it's like you still have Mario Cristobal as your head coach. Not saying that he's not.
But we're talking coordinators. We're not head coach.
I understand, but you still have to have. I'm not saying he's a bad head coach. Like he's a top 5-6 coach in the ACC.
Yeah.
But can you win a national title with him there? I don't know.
Still TBD on Cristobal.
Yeah. I mean,
the in-game management has been an issue.
He was great at Oregon. Like he had some great seasons there. Like largely in part at Miami, it's been good. Like he's brought them back to relevance. Like before he was there wasn't too much relevance there. But I mean, I don't know. The Georgia Tech game in 2023 is going to be played for the rest of his career, not kneeing that ball down. Like that is just common coaching 101 that could never, I mean, he single-handedly lost his team the game by doing that.
That's fair. I would also throw in, it's definitely not, and it's not going to be in the top 3, but I think it could be in the top 10, top 15 when it's all said and done. And something that had to happen in a hurry is Florida State. Gus Malzahn as OC and Tony White, who has been good as a Rocky Long disciple everywhere he's gone. I would not be surprised if Tony White is really good as defensive coordinator at Florida State, gets that floor back up. And Gus probably, I mean, the head coach part of it did not go well at UCF, But man, that Thomas Castellanos and Osama Kroma and a lot of how they're built right now, I could see that flourishing. And obviously he has a history with Mike Norvell as like a mentor to him years ago. But I think the Gus Tony White combo at Florida State is a good bounce back from a 2-10 season that Mike Norvell very much needed.
I think it's good for Gus. I think he was tired of all the kind of intricacies of coaching now with the NIL and the transfer portal. I think him having a coordinator role where he doesn't really have to deal with all that crap and he can kind of just coach football and get back to what he loved to do. I think that'll bring him back to what we saw at Auburn, in the mid to early 2010s when he was really one of the best coaches in all of college football. I think this will be a nice scenery change for him, and I think Florida State has a bounce back year. I don't think they win 9 or 10 games, but I think you could pencil them in for a 7-8 win season, and
they're over under 7.5.
Yeah, and I think people that are saying Norvell's on the hot seat, that's just kind of a stupid thing to say.
Yeah.
I mean, this team was should have been in the 14 playoff 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Obviously,
you can't go 3-9 again. I think Norvell, he's not on the hot seat, but I mean, if he has another close to 2-10 season,
right,
you're Florida State.
What are the odds that happens 2 years ago? I mean, I understand what were the odds that happened last year, but like you kind of look back on the team now and like you kind of see how it could happen.
I mean, you cannot win 4 or 5 games in 2 years at Florida State.
No,
Yeah.
The only problem is I just don't know what I feel about Thomas Castellanos. Like I don't know if he moves the needle for me. Like he had some good moments at Boston College, but
I mean, he feels like a good Gus fit, like the Nick Marshalls, the John Reese Plumlee.
He's a dual threat guy, but it's like, does he have the arm strength and the arm capability to do it? Because he didn't even have 2,000 passing yards last year.
Yeah. Right, but I mean, Nick Marshall was a DB and took Auburn to the national championship game.
Yeah, I mean, it can happen. I mean, I is what it is, but I don't know that. We'll see. This isn't, early 2000s Auburn. They had a lot of pieces around that team as well that were very, very good. I don't know. We'll see.
Go for it, Ethan.
I was going to say the thing that gives me pause about Thomas Castellanos, we're talking about him a little bit, is I thought he was going to be him at Boston College last year, and he underperformed. So I don't know if I'm willing to buy stock in him again.
You bought in stock on the wrong BC quarterback. And it's Dylan Lonergan. Dylan Lonergan and Bill O'Brien's scheme.
Yeah.
Brookwood native, 4-star kid, pocket passer, cannon for an arm. I think that connection, if it's this year or next year, the Lonergan, Bill O'Brien stock. I bought a lot of stock where I'm not like I'm allowing other folks to jump on this. I'm on Dylan Lonergan, Bill O'Brien Island. There are limitations to Boston College football and what they can ultimately be, but I think that's going to be a good partnership. I would also say the other one that's just absolutely not a sexy name combination, but it's Phil Parker, DC at Iowa, and Tim Lester as OC. They brought in the South Dakota State quarterback who just won a national title, the FCS level.
That guy's good, too.
Yeah. I could see a scenario where Lester and Parker is one of the best coordinator combinations in college football. Again, I think they're a CFP team. Like everyone's talking Illinois in the Big Ten and a little Indiana. Iowa is a 10-win team. If they stay relatively healthy, quarterback's healthy, I think that's a great combination. I think Iowa, I'm buying stock in the
USC is my Big Ten team.
6.5 over under, I think, for them.
Jacoby Lane.
Alex Grinch is gone.
Jaden Miava, second-year step. I think they're going to be pretty good this year. Obviously, defense is what is going to matter. They hired Lynn as the DC last year. They took a significant improvement forward. We'll see what they can do.
Speaking of Alex Grinch, do you know where he is right now? Y'all know
UCF. I'm not even kidding. Like, I'm not trying to hate on them, but they're their head coach, offensive, defensive coordinator.
You're out.
I'm not a believer in it. Like Scott Frost, he had basically one good season. Outside of one good season, he's been a very average coach. And then you bring in who was the worst defensive coordinator in the Power Four.
It's all people you've heard of for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
Well, it just shows you coaching's a fraternity. Yeah. You get in and on it, and people in the business, and they hire you and continuously keep hiring you, even if you're not good.
Oh, Todd Grantham. The man has spent a long time as a defensive coordinator in the sport, and Todd Grantham has not been a great defensive coordinator for a long time. Yeah, we'll see on that front. But great show today, fellas, as we get out of here in a storm. The storm has hit here in East Tennessee.
Thunder. Beautiful time.
Beautiful time for all of us. The chase has come to a close here on a Thursday. Thank you to Ethan Stone. Thank you to Garrett Armbrust. Thank you to Jake King. Stay with us on Fan Run Sports Radio. Fox Sports Knoxville, The Drive with Russell Smith and the Bears up next. Chase is back on Monday at 1 p.m. Have a wonderful afternoon, East Tennessee.
The Chase on Fox Sports Knoxville and Fan Run Radio. Heck yeah.